You're listening to Star Spangled Banter with James and Peyton, the social and political commentary podcast where we rant, you decide.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Guten Tag, America. That's how I'm going to start it.
That's how you're going with it?
I'm going with it. Guten Tag. I think I'm going to do that from now on. I'm just going to do just a different language.
Different languages?
That's not English. Just to piss off Americans. All right, well, welcome to the Star Spangled Banter. We are here. I am your host on the left, Peyton Berger. With me, as always, on the right, Jim Kaluger.
What's up?
Well, yeah. And we're here to bring you more fun-loving insanity that has taken place in this great nation on the social and the political arenas. Also, I'm going to introduce another guest of ours, Jim's brother, Eric Kaluger. Say hi, Eric.
Yes, hello.
I said say hi.
Oh, so, hi.
Can't follow directions.
I didn't know there was.
All right, you're done. No.
I didn't know there was regulations on this.
No, we're excited to have Eric because Eric is he's a certified libertarian, which is a lot of fun because, of course, you know, Jim is a lot more conservative on aspects, me being more liberal, but Eric being libertarian, he's sort of like in his own realm. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to have him and kind of have him share a little bit of his point of view on certain issues that we talk about this episode, especially during the headliner, because we're gonna hit some heavy stuff over what happened in Congress this last week. Oh, I'm so excited. But thanks for joining us, Eric.
Yeah,
we're really happy to have you on here. So.
I made it. The drive was lighter than expected.
Where were you coming from?
It's South Orange County. You know, and normally it takes upwards to 2 hours, but you know, hell, I'm here. And
well, you were also doing 95.
I may have been exceeding speed limits. I cannot confirm. I don't know if this is going to who this goes out.
He was that no. He was that excited to talk to you, America. He was like, I need to get here now. I need to let people know what's up. No, I'm pretty excited. So how was everyone's week?
My week was surprisingly quiet.
Yeah, same here.
Both on the personal and political spectrum.
Yeah, it was a little quiet for me too. I'm going stir crazy at home.
You know
It's
what?
ridiculous.
I got out last week. I got out to go to Walmart, and I was so happy. I was like, "Oh, I'm shopping! Yay! Is this what the sky looks like?"
For those of you that might not know, Jim and I are sort of in between jobs.
That's a good way of putting it.
Well, my job hasn't started. We've mentioned this before, but I recently took a job as I'm going to be teaching theater and arts to different correctional facilities in Southern California.
Which means he's gonna get shanked.
Oh, I hope not. Actually, they've been really nice. Apparently, like they say that like prisoners like love these programs, so they're pretty. And I'm pretty excited.
It'll
too.
be a soft shank.
It'll be a soft shank. It'll be a light poke.
Skinny shank.
Skinny shake. No, I'm pretty jazzed, but the problem is that, you know, of course, you know, a lot of this stuff is dealing with politics and government issues. So it's very frustrating that I bitch about politics, and yet I'm working for the government, essentially. It's taking so long, and I don't know why. It's just
'Cause it's the
frustrates
government.
the hell out of me. So I'm sort of like just sitting at home. I'm like the homemaker now, because now my wife goes and makes, you know, the big money. She's the breadwinner now, essentially. It's a little like, I don't know what to do.
Yep. Welcome to the club.
But Eric's got kids though.
Yeah,
you probably have a lot
you know
more
what?
going
I'm
on.
vaguely aware of some people that live in my house. I'm kidding. No,
The borrowers.
No, I got a wife and kids.
Well, you just had a daughter
They're
recently,
great.
right?
Yeah, she's eight months.
8 months, my
So,
goodness.
Pretty soon she'll be in college.
Yeah, I'll be killing some boyfriends
Yep.
probably along the way.
Heck yeah.
But no, it's been good, and you know, work's been heavy, so you know, it's a great time to just see the weekend for a little bit.
What do you do again?
I'm a community manager. We control homeowners associations around Orange County, LA, San Diego, Nevada, and the Inland Empire.
Sounds so boring.
Yeah, yeah. You know
He
what?
basically stares at the cubicle wall all day.
I got a wife and kids, so you know.
So they're the ones that occupy your time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, it's a good
that's
time. But
hilarious.
yeah, heavy week, so it's good to be here and talk about things that
Politics.
People that piss me
and
off.
have the beer flowing. So let's
All
go.
right.
Let's do this.
We do. They brought beer. I'm
yeah.
so
Yes,
happy.
well, it's our new tradition from now on. You guys can't see it right now, but we're gonna bring a drink to
You
every.
can't see it, and neither can we.
And yeah, we can't. I can't see anything.
Because you're drinking too much.
That's
There
the
you go.
problem.
That
Well,
was
I
what
gotta
I was
stop
leaning
drinking this
towards.
stuff.
Yeah.
got
Drinking.
got-
It's bringing and drinking the same.
drinking and blindness.
No.
I don't even know how.
What's
to say
in
it.
this?
James
I
is
don't know.
slurring his speech. already.
Slurring or speech? So no.
No,
but
it'll be fun. It'll help us relax a little bit. And you know what? Honestly, like a couple beers here and there, like might actually loosen us up, and we may actually go off the hinges a few times. So.
I can't wait.
So who knows, America? This could be the start of a
Whole
you
new
know.
friendship.
Well, you know what? I kind of want to talk about this a little bit, just because we have somehow survived and come up to the 6-month marker of Trump. I think it'd be fun to kind of talk about it, because I definitely have been seeing a lot of different posts and a lot of different articles and videos, and God knows what else about like the good things and the bad things that he's done. And it seems to me that I don't really think anybody really knows what he's done or hasn't done so far.
Well, I know what he's done, but I don't think it's what he wants to get done.
See, but why is that, though?
Congress, because they suck.
Okay, well, we all knew that. But see, but that's the funny thing is that, okay, so really the thing I want to touch on is that, because I have a photo here, and it says, like, it's got a quote from him. I will work with Congress to introduce the following broader legislative measures and fight for their passage within the first 100 days of my administration. And there's a list of different bills and acts that he wanted to pass. There was, of course, the Middle Class Tax Relief Simplification Act. There was the End of Offshoring Act, American Energy Infrastructure, of course, repeal and replace Obamacare, affordable child care. It's a ton of different things, and of course his Clean Up Corruption in Washington Act.
Good luck, Don.
You can't do that when
Good
you're in
luck.
Florida every other weekend, buddy. So it's interesting to me that he has all of these bills, and I'm sure that he came up with a few others that he wanted to introduce and really work on. But I was thinking about it, and I go, holy shit, it's literally been 6 months. He has not signed one damn bill yet. Not one. He signed plenty of executive orders, but he has actually not signed a single bill. Now, I realize that you have to go through the House, you have to go through the Senate in order to get to the White House with these issues, but I don't see him doing a lot of actually working with Congress to actually pass anything. It seems like they're only focusing on the ACA. They're only focusing on Obamacare. That's actually the headliner for this week, as we're going to talk about the healthcare system in this nation. It's just so funny to me that's the hot button topic. It's so
I got nothing.
yeah, I don't know. It's just
I don't know
so.
what. And you know my thoughts on this. I think that tax reform should have been the first thing on his plate from day one.
Oh, I absolutely
And
agree.
it wasn't. It was this Obamacare debacle that nobody wanted to get behind. There were too many cooks in the kitchen, and you have what you have now.
Too many cooks. Too many cooks. Have you guys seen that video?
No.
No, I can't say I've seen that.
Oh my word. Okay, so there's a video of like this is such a random tangent, and I'm sorry, America, but
I'm not.
You know, I fucking deal with it. So there's this video. It's like 20 minutes long, called "Too Many Cooks," and essentially it's just a giant montage of cheesy opening theme songs to like certain like sitcoms from like the 80s and the 90s, and they've got like all the characters, and they're all like doing their kind of their cheesy
cheesy
like,
stare at the camera and smile.
Yeah,
You caught me in the middle of something fun.
So I don't know who produced this video, but it's literally just 15-20 minutes of just people doing that to a song that just repeats itself. Just, too many cooks, too many cooks. Like it's such a cheesy. It's so funny. I love it. But sorry, that was just a random tangent off of Jim's little.
And we're back, America.
I'm only one beer in, so
I know,
this
I
is
can't wait
not
for
good.
2.
This is not good.
Oh, we're such lightweights now. Dude, I remember back in the day I could pack them away, and now it's like, oh, look, I look at a beer, I'm like, oh, guys, the room is spinning.
I hate it.
Getting old sucks.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, no, I agree. I really think that if we really want to tackle all of these different issues, like affordable child care and community safety and nationals, all this shit that we keep dealing with, I really think the base of it needs to be tax reform.
That's the foundation. That allows everything else to be
I would agree.
fixed properly.
Yeah.
You can't fix the problem if your tax reform is still in the shitter.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, especially with a libertarian in the room, you're basically anti-taxes, aren't you?
Yes.
He's throwing tea into the
but
harbor
at the same
right now.
time, I mean, tea's in the harbor. Tea's pouring out of the harbor. It's ridiculous. You know, at the same time, you can cut taxes, but you really need to cut spending. You can't just cut taxes and increase spending, and that's something that Donald did.
And regulation.
That's something that Donald actually did. He did not cut spending.
Yeah.
They've tried to. Him and the Republican Congress have tried to cut spending, or cut taxes, and they may have done that, but they did not cut spending. And the problem with that is you haven't done anything.
Well, at best, it's a
for-
Band-Aid fix.
Yeah.
At best.
It's not
Barely.
It's
Yeah.
not even a fix.
It's a crappy
The problem-
Band-Aid
The
fix.
problem is it's not even a fix.
It's not.
You've literally just broke even. I mean, you didn't do anything for the deficit. You didn't do anything for the debt. You broke even.
You
See, and
maintain the
that's-
status quo.
That's interesting because one of the things that they said that Donald Trump succeeded in doing within the first 6 months was that he decreased the deficit by $10 billion.
If someone shows me the numbers, I'll believe it.
Well, see,
But
this was just a video that
just
I
don't
didn't actually see the graph of it, but they were just like, he decreased the deficit by $10 billion. I'm like, how?
Honestly, and again, I mean, we're not, political analysts. We don't know 100% about this, but maybe there could have been a couple things that he deregulated that may have cost a lot of money to just do.
Right.
That could be the case, but in terms of what we're talking about, in terms of taxation and how it benefits to cut taxes for the economy, it may benefit, but you need to be consistent. We can't half-ass capitalism. We need to cut taxes and we need to cut spending at the same time. And the problem with the conservatives, who claim to be fiscally conservative, is that they still believe in this huge spending when it comes to things like the military, for example. If you look at graphs, you look at studies, the biggest thing we actually pump our money into is a military-industrial complex, which takes upwards to almost like 70-something%. It's crazy, and I could be totally wrong.
I read a statistic once, and I'm totally gonna fudge this up because this was like a long time ago. But I read somewhere that if they cut funding to the military by 50%, the money we would have saved would literally fix every single road in this country today.
It's pretty crazy how much we spend.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and as a libertarian, and again, I support. I don't want this to be misconstrued. I believe in defense spending, but there's a difference between defense spending and military spending. When you're doing something as simple, and even Ron Paul said something like this in a debate once, where he said, where you're moving an embassy, relocating an embassy, you may call that military spending, but I call that waste.
Right.
And that's a very true thing. When we're out there nation building and regime changing like we've been doing, and getting involved in destabilizing, the Middle East like we apparently love to do. It's the new American pastime.
That and baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Baseball and Muslims.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's where
baseball
we're at.
and destabilizing Muslim areas.
Oh my word.
And when we've been doing that, it's insane just how much money we've wasted. And that's all military spending. Defense spending is let's bring our troops home, damn it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's bring our troops home and let's and it's not to sound like an isolationist, but let's bring our troops home and let's not be in other people's business. Another thing is, what also is considered military spending, and this freaks out so many people when I say this, but if I were in charge, or if I had my way, I would cut foreign aid. And this is going to trigger conservatives, and I'm sorry to say this, but
This show triggers everybody.
This includes Israel.
That kind of triggers me a little bit, and I'm more liberal. So
Right?
Well, this is
Hayden's
going to,
starting
like
to
I
shake
said,
over
this
there.
is going to trigger conservatives, but this includes Israel. Now, I support Israel, and I believe that they should be able to be a sovereign nation and make their own damn decisions.
Right.
I don't believe in wasting our tax dollars on other nations that do not benefit us.
It's very interesting when it comes to Israel and with the Palestinians. I actually met quite a few Palestinians who, this is them specifically, so this could be very well an isolated incident, but there's a lot of Palestinians I've met that are just like, we want just as much peace with Israel as the next person. Like, we don't want the fighting to continue, because it's not just hurting Israel, it's hurting Palestinians, it's hurting Palestine as well. So there's a lot of issues with that where both sides really just want it to end. But I think the problem is, and I think you might be touching on something like that, where we keep saying we need to stand with Israel and, fuck Palestine. So I feel like we're perpetuating the problem more than anything else. Because
we definitely don't help anything. And I would say one thing is, don't think that I'm saying let's not give money to Israel, let's give money to Palestine or something like that, or foreign aid to Palestine. I don't want foreign aid going anyone. And I know this will freak people out, but listen, foreign aid is a part of military spending, and it costs a lot of money. And let me tell you how much we get back. None.
Yep.
I'm okay with foreign aid if something like, let's say, what happened in Haiti happens. Like earthquakes or like any sort of natural disaster.
You can't avoid.
We can't escape that, because that's just
That's just life.
Yeah, that's just life.
But
like,
if
we
it's
need to do
if
what
it's
we can.
two,
But no,
warring tribes throwing rocks at each other.
Right.
Let
No,
me-
I agree with Eric in the sense that if we're just gonna go in and like regime change the entire Middle East, like,
We
why?
can't do this.
Why?
And another thing is, and this is what we've touched upon before, and I've heard it talked about when we're talking about things like going to war with ISIS.
Yeah.
You can't go to war with an enemy who has no borders. This is an ideology. Radical Islam is an ideology. And in fact, I mean, they're barely. And this, again, I know this isn't something a conservative normally say, but that's not Islam, what they do.
I will say this. I think that the Nation of Islam is in the middle of a sort of reformation, if you will. Kind of like how Christianity went through a reformation. We went through several. Christianity went through so much of it. You know, you got Martin Luther, you've got, the Calvinist movement, and then you've got the splitting of the Catholics and the Protestants, and, then we had the Pilgrims, and even it divided even more. I mean, there are several different reformations that happened within Christianity. I truly believe that the Nation of Islam is in one as we speak.
Right, and just to go back on, I mean, this is an ideology.
Yeah.
An ideology doesn't have borders. An ideology doesn't have a nation. You can't go to war with an ideology because you will not win.
Yeah.
You won't win with trying to fight someone's, just a world. This is a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? Keep chasing the next terrorist attack? The war on terror. Granted, yes, this was congressional. This was legal in a sense,
Yeah.
but it's a terrible idea.
Well, the
and what
problem
we're doing
is-
now with a war on ISIS. I mean, can someone tell me when we congressionally declared war on them? Because we didn't.
We didn't. No.
Yeah, I mean, let's use the
We
Constitution.
sure as hell
here,
wanted
guys.
to.
Yeah. Something I want to touch upon later, and we'll go into something about what we can do about militarism and not having so much of maybe a government spending in it.
Yeah.
but-
Because I had actually spoken to, he's like the former president of like some big university that's over in Palestine right now. Someone actually asked him. They were like, so what can we do to help both Israel and Palestine? And the guy flat out said, this guy's like in his 60s, former president of a big university, just without missing a beat said, stop sending us money. Stop sending money. We don't want your money. We want your time.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's profound. I'm okay with foreign aid as long as it's one of the few things that I like oddly agreed with Trump was when, we came out saying that we had control like 70 to 75% of NATO. And I was like, why? Why are we that so invested in NATO? We need to get out. Like I want out of it. It's funny how like we want to keep putting our foot in other people's sandboxes.
Right.
Well, George Washington had it right when he said the United States should not get entangled with foreign affairs. And
Not as much as we do.
And I think, I don't think we should get entangled at all. But like you say, unless we're dealing with natural disasters or basically things that aren't a money pit.
Something that they don't have control over,
Right.
that the mass populace doesn't have control over.
One thing I would say, and it goes back to talking about the natural disasters, or when something happens with Haiti or whatnot, there's a way to do this that doesn't involve government spending. I mean, for one, they're not really controlling much of the the money very well when it comes to foreign aid. But when it comes to a lot of this, there's ways to give foreign aid without government being involved. One thing that's a very libertarian view is voluntarism. And this is a society, listen, if we want to give money to the poor or people in need, whether in this country or not, do it. Why are you saying that you need the government to do it for you? Why are you saying that you need a government to coerce people into getting funds to get these things to happen? If us as a society are a moral society, and obviously this is a different argument altogether, but if you're
This is a whole different episode.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if this is a moral,
We're already getting off topic.
if this is a moral society, though, I mean, we should be able to do this in voluntarism and be able to get it without government.
No, I agree. I think the problem with that is that I definitely would agree with the libertarian standpoint of voluntarism, absolutely. But the problem with that, though, is that you're dealing with a heart issue. Then now you're dealing with the human nature of, well, not just even the human nature, but even I guess the American idea of like, I'm in this for me, I will succeed my American dream and fuck anybody that gets in my way kind of mentality. Right. So the idea of volunteering,
Objectivism is actually what it's called.
oh well, thank you, Mr. Scholar.
You're welcome.
They have the
Somebody paid
academic-
attention in school.
This was all after school. I didn't pay attention for shit in school. to be honest with
You were out surfing.
Yeah,
That's right, you
among,
were.
among other things.
What's
yeah, we'll say surfing. Yeah, we'll call it surfing.
We'll go.
Yeah, surfing.
Yeah. Yeah. What's funny though is
Hey, did you know that something happened in healthcare this week?
No, I like what you touched on though, because it actually what we talked about, like going in there and regime change and indoctrinating these different nations, and we keep saying, oh no, they need us because we're the best, because now it's a fight against the Nation of Islam. Didn't we try this with communist nations and that didn't work out either?
There's a very famous quote: "If ideas cannot pass borders, armies will."
Yeah, it's true.
It's
true.
If we can't use our ideas of, free market and capitalism, individualism to free people of their binds, a lot of times we tend to send armies, and that's not necessarily the best.
Because that'll learn ya.
Right, and that's the biggest flaw. Like, sending and liberating, quote unquote. Yeah, I mean, come on, let's be real
again.
about this.
Hello, we tried this in the '60s with Vietnam. Look how that turned out. And because of that, we didn't even try to go after the other communist nations. We didn't try it with China. We didn't try it with North Korea. We didn't try it with. We tried it, I guess, with Russia. The Cold War. But
Russia ended
that wasn't really trying.
Well, we won.
They bled themselves dry.
They bled themselves dry. We won that one by sheer fact that they couldn't keep up monetarily.
That was actually the only. And not to get too off topic, because I know we got to get back on healthcare.
We really do.
But not to get too off topic, but that was actually the only instance which an ideology actually made a nation fall. They became more enamored with Western capitalism than they were with the communism they were under.
Thanks, Reagan.
Isn't it fun how the world
Tear
works?
down this wall.
Yeah.
Speaking of...
So, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
It seems like everything that he wanted to do, he didn't do. And...
Did we really just get that far off tangent?
The show's called Banter.
Right?
It's called Star Spangled Banter.
Not Star Spangled. We'll stay on topic. Sorry, folks.
Does anyone stay on topipic nowadays?
No. Come on.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, so
Trump
it's essentially just I don't know. Trump did not do everything that everyone says that he was going to set out to do, or it's going back to the whole he's like, I'm not going to act like a politician, and then sure enough.
Well, yeah. In his slight defense, there is a reason why he doesn't always accomplish what he sets out to do, and that is a great segue for my politic of the week.
I'm excited for this one because I know who it is, but I'm not excited for that. I am excited because our good friend Jim here has created a segue,
That's
if
right.
you will, and I'm pretty excited because it's I'm gonna laugh my ass off because it's just so fucking funny.
I gotta play this. All right, folks, so here it is, brand spanking new, hot off the press for you, our politic of the week intro. Hang on for this ride. And now it's time for politic of the week, a part of our show where we introduce to you a political or social figure who has been particularly stupid in the eyes of the nation. Hold tight, for there's no telling what amount of bullshittery we may encounter next. Oh, sweet
I'm literally
God.
crying how much I love that song.
This is a podcast with class, America.
I've heard that twice over, and I can't get over just how much I love it. Just the accents and just particularly. We don't know what sort of bullshittery they've gotten themselves into.
Well, we've got some bullshittery for you, America.
Who do we got, buddy?
This week's politic, or politics because it's actually more than one this time around, is our good friends, the GOP Congress.
Wow, that's the whole party.
Yeah.
The whole party.
More or less.
I love it.
And here's why. And look, being a leaning conservative guy like I am, I try to give these guys a certain amount of leeway whenever they pull shit.
And it's a lot of it.
It's a lot of it. It's several bags full. So when this time around happened, I was like, I can't get behind you guys. You are screwing the pooch 5 ways from Sunday. My whole problem with the GOP senators is their complete inability to come up with a coherent plan to replace Obamacare, and not only their complete inability to come up with a coherent plan, but their complete ability to agree on one. I mean, we had not that I'm shocked because he's no more Republican than Nancy Pelosi is, but John McCain voted no on this new skinny repeal. Now granted,
Loved
this
that.
particular repeal, I wasn't 100% for it, but I was.
It was desperate. They were desperate.
It was desperate.
You
This
could
wa-
clearly tell they
it-
were just like,
dude, it's been
screw it, like,
desperate. I swear from day one.
yeah.
And again, I don't know what it is. If they just can't get behind, if they can't get all their ducks in a row, or maybe the club treehouse is closed, so Mitch McConnell can't hold his group. I don't know what's going on.
Mitch
but-
McConnell can't hold his face.
But, well, yeah,
Come on.
apparently. That guy has one expression, jowls.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know what their deal is, but I'm more than miffed that they can't get behind one solid plan and push it through. This makes them look bad.
Yeah, it really does.
If you want to try to pass anything, whether it's healthcare, whether it's a kidney stone, I don't care. You need to come together and be a one coherent party, because this whole
See,
division thing is not helping.
You have to admit, though, that that's something that the Democrats during the Obama administration with the ACA, they at least they actually came together, tried to get shit done. You have to admit that.
Yeah, they tried to get shit done, all right.
At least
I'm not gonna get into what, but yeah, they were trying to get some shit
man.
done. That's why they're
you
they're
know what?
behind it.
One of these days, I'm gonna get you to say at least one nice thing about Barack Obama. One of
He
these
looked good in a
days.
suit.
That's not a nice thing.
Honestly, I would have a beer with the guy. I don't agree with.
If he was paying.
No, seriously, I don't agree with his policies.
Damn it,
much.
Jim! Come on.
But I don't agree with his policies much. But hey, listen, he seems like a cool guy. I'd
I'll
wanna just
agree
have a
with
beer
him, yeah.
talk about like sports or some shit.
I'll do it. Yeah, absolutely.
I would do it with W too, and I didn't agree with all his policies either.
You know what?
Have a beer
I
with
will
him.
find something at some point, either this podcast or next podcast. I'll go
I'm,
ahead and,
you know,
I'll
I'm
find
gonna get
something.
you there. I'm gonna get you not
One
not
day.
about his suit, not about his
No,
dress.
no.
One nice thing about his character. One nice
God.
thing.
It's gonna be like squeezing blood from a stone. But okay, I will.
We're gonna work on it.
Yeah, we will.
We're gonna work on it. I'm gonna get you to say one nice thing about his character before the end of this whole
God, I'm gonna have
podcast.
to drink
run.
more beer. All right.
We're accepting donations right now. For
A GoFundMe
beer.
page
Yeah,
is,
we're gonna have a GoFundMe page. We want either
Oh.
money or beer. So,
But yeah, but
Yeah.
that's my problem. They came across as complete inept tools.
yeah.
And look, if you're advertising that you're there for the American people, you damn well better have a plan before you come up to bat.
Yeah.
And it sounds like one, they didn't have a plan, and two, they didn't agree on their own plan. And then of course you got John.
I'm sorry.
McCain.
That moment though, I loved it.
McCain.
I loved it.
You know what?
Oh, that
You know
moment
what?
made me so happy.
You
And
know-
it made me happy because so many liberals, so many Democrats were like, oh, screw John McCain. He's coming out of treatment because he was going to go to Congress. Everyone calls him an American hero, and he's about to take millions of people's health care away. He's such a little dick. And then the moment he stepped on the floor and voted no, I was just like, oh.
And I don't understand
And
why.
they immediately shut up. It happened, and they immediately reeled
And
back.
I don't
Even
get-
as a left-leaning liberal, I was like, thank you, John McCain.
I don't get where the liberals thought that he was going to vote yes on it anyway, because look how many times McCain has come out on the floor for anything Republican. That guy is about as Republican as a gay pride parade. I am sorry. There's just no. There's no way in hell that man is a Republican. If he's a Republican,
I think that's why I like him so much, because he keeps surprising everybody.
yeah, but
personally,
okay, but he's like the grandfather that surprises you at Christmas with socks. You think it's a cool toy, but no, he just put socks in a frickin'
Everybody needs socks, Jim.
You know what? Not when you're 10. So anyway,
It's because you Californians just wear sandals your
that's
whole
right.
life.
That's right.
I'm not originally from California, so I prefer my feet covered. Thank you very much.
So anyway, granted, I don't have anything else really
No,
more to
I-
say to that, but
no,
my
no,
politics of the week are the GOP Congress.
I would
You
agree,
guys-
though. I think because, Donald Trump is about the most polarizing Republican you can come up with. So you got all these people on both sides that are just like, ugh, like, really? This
Do
is
we
who we
have
have to
to?
deal with? But honestly, though, like, I even think people like Paul Ryan, there's a ton of Republicans that don't like Ryan. Like, even he's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
So it's like...
he's a little off-putting.
Yeah. So it's the whole party. And I think, honestly, a big reason why is because there's a part of me that thinks that I don't even think Republicans know exactly what they stand for.
I don't think any party knows what they stand for anymore.
What about libertarians?
Right,
Well,
what do you
well,
guys
just
stand?
real quick before I go into libertarianism, one thing I'm going to actually touch on about conservatives is Conservatism has mainly always been what it's against, not what it's for.
Yeah. Oh, I
that's the
absolutely
and-
agree
And
with
the
that.
reason is because you're talking about a party that's okay and supposed to, even though they lie to you a lot, supposed to be about limited government. When they get into power, it's like, well, shit, we are for limited government. I mean, we're not really for any government. So what are we for?
Right, what are we even
so
here
a
for?
lot of times, conservatism is supposed to be, in theory, about returning power back to the people. To the point where it's kind of a lot of times when Republicans are in power and conservatism is in power, it comes across as awkward when they're trying to like make a bill because it's like we don't really think we should do this. I mean,
No, I agree. I actually do. Like growing up in a conservative household, like it just seemed so much that people were always like, "I'm against this. I hate that. We should do away with that." But very few times they would be like, I'm for this. I support helping that. It was always just, it had such a pessimistic point of view.
one thing that I believe that libertarianism, and again, I'm not going to say Republican because Republican's a party. So
Right.
libertarianism, sometimes conservatism, what it's better at saying, we're for certain things, we're not for the government to do it. Like I believe in people being able to have health care. I just
Yeah.
don't think the government
Exactly.
should do it.
I don't think the
I
government
believe
should
that
be.
people should have education. I just don't think the government should do it. I believe that people, I can go down the line of things I believe in, and I don't believe the government should be the ones to do this. And a lot of times it kind of stems back to this, and this may offend people, but
We're all about offending
in
people.
society.
Come on.
We've done it already.
In
Yeah,
society,
day one we started offending people.
oh yeah.
So.
In society, what we've had is government has seemingly become too big, and society has become too dumbed down. They don't even know that it's big government.
Yeah.
I have people that I know that they've come out of 4-year colleges, universities, and I'll tell them my point of view, this free market point of view, and they look at me like I'm an alien. They look at me with this perplexed face, like they couldn't believe what I just said. Like, you want people to die? Like, no, just because the government isn't giving you health care doesn't mean you're going to walk outside and contract tuberculosis.
On the
That's
spot
not how this
and
is,
die.
Yeah, this isn't how this is going to work.
No.
The government has this knack of being able to, and what they do is they take the moral high ground, and we watch the liberals seamlessly actually do this, take the moral high ground
taking
on
the moral high
healthcare
ground.
and go, oh, well, if you take it from everyone's you're taking people's health care and make it seem like it's the government and the government alone that can only give this to you, and that you as the people, us poor plebes, right? We can't, we have
the serfs.
Yeah, we the
can't do it for
serfs,
ourselves.
we can't do it for ourselves, and
Please,
we have
sir,
no idea.
I want some health care.
Right, we have no idea how to do it for ourselves, and we need this central planning. Socialism and progressive liberalism has been all about central planning. Yeah. There's this sense of they need to be able to make the decisions for us, and it's almost an elitist thing in a sense. I mean, I can make my own decisions, but what about the poor people? What about these poor, these little plebes in the street? What about them?
Poor peasants.
Yeah, I know.
Like for me personally, there's actually a lot of the libertarian viewpoint that I understand, and I'm like I get behind. I think the struggle though is that we've seen sort of a weird spiral of degradation within this nation. That I would be for the free market and I would be for it, but people, and when I mean people, I mean businesses, big conglomerates, need to quit making it so goddamn hard for us to actually achieve anything. That's the problem that I have with it, is that, yeah, we should be able to provide our own health care for ourselves and not have the government do it, but at the same time, they're sure not making it easy for us to do that.
Right, but here's the catch-22 there is the change and reform is only going to happen on the private, localized sector.
Let me tell you something. The libertarian, if there was such thing as a libertarian utopia, there wouldn't be insurance companies either. It would literally be peer-to-peer, right? It'd be peer-to-peer market. It would be, I need to go to a doctor. I'm going to pay my doctor. He has the services and goods and services. I need the goods and services. I'm going to be in a consenting contract with him to get those goods and services, and I don't need a middleman in the way.
That's the key point right there, is that there has to be a contractual agreement, because I can guarantee you right now, like if doctors were like, oh well, if I'm the difference between life and death, I'm going to screw you just as much as any insurance company.
At
would.
one time, there wasn't really insurance companies. It was something that was created by more in the LBJ administration, actually.
Son of a bitch.
And then we came into this whole government, I'm going to say intrusion. I'm sure you guys have a different view on it. Government intrusion into it. where they're pretty much saying, well, the government has to provide it for you. There's no other way the market can provide this to you because, well, think about how greedy those companies are. Well, this is also, I mean, it goes back to what I said. You can't half-ass capitalism. So we can't just go into it. We can't just go into it with, oh yeah, we'll take government out of healthcare, but we'll leave the corporate benefits in there. No, you have to open the market. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So big corporations are actually afraid of the free market and they're afraid of capitalism because it actually allows them to fail.
Wait a minute. Did we just segue into the headliner?
I think
Congratulations.
we did a little
Seamlessly?
bit. We've literally been talking about healthcare this whole time, though.
yeah.
So,
So
I
this
feel
whole
like
thing is a headliner.
pretty much.
All right, then I'm just gonna assume we're in the headliner.
This is all the headlines.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I was trying to follow along my notes and be the studious one. I'm like, well,
Just go with the flow,
just go with it, man.
Just go with it, man.
Be cool, man. Be cool.
Well, you know what? Since you brought that up, let's take a quick break, actually.
All right.
Yeah, let's take a little break. We'll go use the restroom.
The beer makes
I
us
tried
need
to-
use the restroom.
I'm already.
I tried to
using the
be like,
restroom.
I'm going to go take a piss. Like, I tried to not go that route.
Sorry, America.
Here we
We're
are.
human too, and the bathroom is far away. So we'll be back, but don't you go nowhere.
And we're back. Woot.
Yay.
My sandwich is all crusty now.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Gross.
That sounds like a healthcare problem.
Nope. Government can't help you with that.
Oh, damn it.
But the free market's got an answer.
Yay.
Well, where is it?
It's free. It's off somewhere.
Buried.
Yeah, right now it is.
In regulations.
Thanks,
And my gold
Congress.
that's stashed
You
away.
guys are the best.
No, we were talking about the free market.
State
and,
is gonna state.
State is gonna state.
Sorry, that was lame.
Wow,
Take
you-
that off the air.
No, we're keeping it. The world's gonna know how stupid you just were.
Yeah, I'm not editing that out, dude. That's staying in.
Yeah, with the whole thing with the free market, it's just it's difficult because there clearly has to be regulations with it, regarding the between you and your physician per se. There has to be some amount of regulation so that he doesn't screw you over.
But
as
does
well.
there really? Does there really, Peyton?
No.
Eric, why does there not
No,
need to be?
because
I know I'm going to be outnumbered on this.
no. Well,
I'm totally
the thing
screwed
is there's
on
a
this
lot of,
one.
Well, you might not. There's a lot of conservatives that believe that
He
they
might
need an
to-
insurance company.
Right, he
for
might
example.
totally go the opposite direction right now. And I'd be like, what? That's not what we practice. Blah, blah, blah.
No, there doesn't, because what makes society in a free market run is cooperation between two consenting adults, and that sounded sexual, but I meant that in.
Well,
just-
I mean that's going to be a part of it no matter.
Well,
what
you're gonna get screwed either
listen,
way.
But listen, I mean,
That's good.
I mean, if for example, if I want to sell something, if I have the goods that Peyton or yourself needs, you should be able to come to me without any kind of intervention. This is a cooperation between both of us.
Yeah.
There doesn't need to be anyone monitoring the contract. Like what the contract means, it's a figure of speech of we've consented that this is going to be the deal between us.
Right.
That I'm going to sell you something, and you're going to be able to get it at the price that I placed.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be any kind of intrusion. And this includes things like what socialism loves, which is like price setting. They like to set the price. Say, oh, well, the prices should be at this. Prices should be at that. They should go no lower than this and go no lower.
I want to know who says that's what the price needs to be.
The government. Which
Like,
shouldn't
why
be
is it
there.
I'm paying $30 for gas?
We have to look at supply and demand. You have to really see what drives supply and demand in a certain market. Let's talk about education real quick. Let me segue. Education is so expensive because it's been so devalued by the government guarantee of it. Because anyone can get a government loan now. It's not hard. Anyone can get a government loan, Navient, Fed loan, whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Anyone
thanks,
can get a
Navient.
government loan. So anyone and a brother can get a
Appreciate
degree
that.
and just take a loan out. It's been so expensive because now anyone can just get a loan. So that's why the schools and universities have upped their prices so much. When there was no such thing as a government guaranteed loan or what have you, there wasn't the prices. The inflation wasn't there to make these prices so high. So, and this goes back to
But
everything I've
here's
always
the-
said of government does more harm than good when it gets involved in a market.
Right, but here's the thing though, with federal loans, and I know this from experience, with federal loans, the reason why they're so easily accessible and why so many people get them is because there's not a lot of repercussion behind it when you don't pay them off. The worst that a government loan can do is garnish your wages.
Right.
Or take away
Right.
your federal tax return. That's the worst that they can do. When you're in the more private sector, they can actually file, if you don't pay it, they will file a lawsuit, and you
Right.
could potentially face jail time
Yep.
if you don't pay it off.
You could lose everything potentially.
So that's why they're so accessible, because
True, but,
it's literally like, would you rather just take a flick to the nose or a kick to the nuts?
I would rather not have. I mean, again, private loans are what they are as well, because it's the supply and demand of it. They know that you can get a federal loan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is all, the government really skewed the supply and demand when they started reaching their hand into different markets. And what that did is that affected the private sector to up their prices as well, because they know you can go to the federal side of things and get it like it's a handout.
See, but that just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like if the government and the private sector are going to go at like a wage war between each other, don't you think the private sector would want to be like a little more desiring to keep people?
Well, right, but wouldn't that right now
right,
that would mean that
that's-
the private sector should drop its prices. You know what I mean? But another
Right.
thing, just to go back on what you said about there being like a lawsuit, that's also a very free market thing. You know what I mean? Anytime something is involved in the government, there's no repercussions for what happens if things go south. That could even go into if someone is like a government employee
Yeah.
and screws you over versus someone who's a private sector employee and screws you over. For example, I work in the private sector. If I do something fraudulent or against the laws of my industry that I'm in, I will get fired. I'll lose my job. If a government agent screws you over, it's going to take an election and a half to get them removed.
and they'll probably become
Because
president.
because they have a guarantee on their position. They're not going to get fired. You know, you go to the DMV and everyone sucks. They're not going to get fired for sucking.
Nope. That's
You know
why
what
they
happens
suck.
if I don't get back to people in my job? After a while, some termination papers are going to be handed out.
Yeah.
The government's not going to hand out termination papers, and this goes back to things like if things go south in a loan, for example. I mean, we have fake money being printed out of nowhere, so it's like, oh, don't worry, you didn't pay it back, whatever. We'll just pull the money out of something else. The private loan's like, all right, well, that was real money. We got to get that money back because that was actual. We loaned you that. You need to give that back to us. We're not the government. We can't just get that from somewhere else. It's just something that allows people to live outside their means.
And kind of going off what you're saying with the whole DMV thing about, the government, they don't care because the government covers it and they don't care. We're the ones that end up losing in the end, the consumer.
Right.
We're the ones that end up getting the shaft because, especially when you're talking about government regulated anything, as you've seen, i.e. the DMV, whenever the government has their hands in the pot, it's lackluster often, and
And
we end up getting
It's good
hurt
you
for
say
it.
that. That even goes into things like job creation too. And what I mean is, there was a good quote, and I'm going to sound like a terrible libertarian here for a second because I forget which Austrian School of Economics economist said this.
Austrian bastards.
But
the only thing good that came out of Austria was Sound of Music. I'm kidding. I love our Austrian brothers.
Braunschweigers are pretty good.
well, okay,
Braunschweig.
granted,
I just
okay,
like saying that word.
it's called the Austrian School of Economics. They're not actually Austrian. Let me put that out there. Anyways, the quote is, if you wanted to create jobs and you're digging a well, you're going to give everyone a spoon. But if you wanted to create production, you'll have one bulldozer.
I feel like Hitler said that.
No. No, not how that worked out.
Well, he was Austrian, so
He was Austrian, yeah.
it's all Hitler, damn it.
No,
Damn you,
no,
Hitler.
kidding. That was awful.
But really, it's the market's supposed to be about the consumer, not the government guaranteed
Exactly.
job. And that's where we really screwed everything because we started trying to give everybody jobs in markets that, the market, it grows, right? People should be, as individuals, we should use the market, follow the market to our advantage and catch it where it's moving.
The hard thing is that I know we're going to get into like weird morality issues with this discussion, I'm
What?
sure.
not on this
But-
show, buddy.
How dare you talk about morality?
No,
Nothing
we're
about this is moral.
not at all. It's hard because I don't know. I feel like the government, their heart's in the right place with it, but their heads are so far up their ass that, they want to help people, but they don't know how.
I love that because Milton Friedman once talked about the minimum wage, and he said that there was two groups that were involved, and I'm going to skew this quote, I swear to God.
Well, you've skewed the last one,
But
so.
yeah, I'm going to
sure.
keep going.
Pretty sure it wasn't.
I'm
Hitler.
going to keep going. He said it basically. There's two factions in that, and there's the people that are in it for their own gain, and then there's the do-gooders. So there's the people that are in it for their own gain. And for example, at the time he was talking about minimum wage. He was saying, there's the unions, there's the co-ops, there's things like that they're in it for their own gain. This isn't to help anybody. And then there's the people who actually believe that a minimum wage will help people live their lives. There's always two different groups in some kind of cause.
Yeah.
There are people that are naturally in it for greed, and there are people that actually think that this is just going to help people.
So the root of it is the heart.
It depends.
I'm still waiting to find out.
A lot of times it's just, unfortunately, they've been. Well, a lot of times it's been they've been deceived to believe that that's how that works.
Yeah.
That the way that minimum wage will help people live. Government guaranteed health care will help people be able to pay for their health insurance, and it goes back to basically the ideal that government and government alone will help you be able to live your life, and you as the individual citizen, you're not smart, and there's no way you know how to live your own life.
But at the same time, like, I've met plenty of people in the world that they're not smart enough and they don't know how to live their own life. But then the argument could go, well, it's because the government caused that, or you could like trace it all back to whenever.
True, or it could go into like, should you be coerced into helping them, or should it go back to voluntarism? And you go, okay, this guy just sucks at life and he's down on his luck.
Yeah.
So I want to, for example, if I see something, I mean, if I walk past a homeless person in the street and I don't give him money, have I committed a crime? No.
You're just an asshole.
Yeah, but if I
no crime against that.
But if I want to be,
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be.
right. But if I want to help somebody, if I morally want to help them, I would give him $1, right? I'll give him my money. But there shouldn't be. I don't think there should be a gun to anyone's head.
Right, but I feel like a lot of the problem also, personally, I think stems from the idea of the American dream. Because really, if you think about a lot of just the pieces of the Constitution. Now, I'm going to make a lot of asshole friends and people that hate me because...
You're going to make asshole friends?
I have a lot of asshole friends. I'm going to have more.
Not anymore, you don't. After
Not
hearing
anymore.
this podcast.
I'm just going to have assholes. No, but like I'm probably going to make a lot of enemies with saying this. But I really do think that if you break down a lot of pieces of the Constitution and what the American dream is, it's a very selfish, single-minded point of view. A lot of it is. And maybe our constitutionalist here, Jim, can shed some light on that, maybe.
You're a dick, sir. If I want to...
See? I told you.
If I want to have my own slice of land and a
It does,
10-car
though, but
garage...
doesn't it? It does
it's my
have a
choice.
bit of a selfish
No, you're right.
mindset.
You're right. There is... Well, look, there's a bit of a... I want to say a self-serving mindset where it's let me get my own house in order first, and then I'll help my fellow man. It's let me get my 2-car garage and my little slice of land and my 9-to-5 job, or my... even better, my job that I really loved is making me feel fulfilled, and then I'll go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm making weird noises.
You throw me off, dude. And then,
I'm doing the rock thing over.
Like making random little noises.
Like
and
Dwayne
things.
Johnson, get out of here.
Right, get out of here, Dwayne.
What are you doing?
Not yet. 2020.
No, not yet. 2020.
Yeah,
Go on.
come back later.
All right. Go on, Jim.
And then we turn to our fellow man and go, okay, now that I'm set, now that I got my sports car, I can drive myself over to your house and help you out because look at all what I've got.
Don't you think it's funny though that we have that mindset of the American dream of we need to. What are you doing?
No more beer for you. All right.
So
That's a new rule.
Are you? All right, let me say this one thing, and then I'll let you respond. Okay, so it's funny how the American dream aspect of it is very much, let me get my house in order, and then I will help you out.
Mm-hmm.
But on an international level, we don't seem to follow that same mindset. We'd rather police the world and put our hands in everybody else's cookie jar.
Because we're the hero.
Lust for power.
We're America. We're we're
So
We're the
individually,
shit.
we want to get our house in order, but as a collective, we don't give a fucking shit. That's all right.
I like that. No, that's pretty good because we really don't. When it
don't.
comes to
It's a weird
international
paradox.
stuff, we're like,
It
oh
is a
shit,
weird
let's
paradox.
We're always
walk over
poking our
here.
nose over there. Going, hey, what's that? Is that a dictator? You want me to help him out?
It
I can take that for you.
doesn't
I
make
got
sense.
that.
Did you need us to carpet bomb them?
It's near a school. Don't worry.
No,
Don't worry.
going
Only a
back to
small
what you
carpet
said about individualism and having a lot of things have to be a me first type of deal.
Yeah.
Ayn Rand wrote Atlas Shrugged.
Right.
She wrote a couple other things, and she was
she was a
don't
writer
know what
of
they
sort.
were.
I don't
well,
know.
in not pertaining to this certain thing. She was an objectivist, and what it is it's a rugged individualism, and that's where selfishness being a good thing, and Ayn Rand wrote about that. Now, there are a lot of also people in the libertarian view, like, for example, I believe in myself morally being, like, I want to help people morally as a human. I don't want the government to really do it. I think they're terrible at it. But if I had the means, I would love to be able to help people. Now, people who are the objectivists might not believe that, for example. They might be like, no, I'm more in it for myself, and selfishness is a good thing, and it'll benefit everyone in the long term.
Right.
I'm what you would call a minarchist in libertarianism. And
I
now,
keep hearing that word.
Yes,
And I don't know
okay, so
what
let me
it
explain. Let me
actually
break this down.
means.
Let's tangent off.
Break it down.
Let's tangent off.
We're tangenting.
Minarchism.
Hang on, America.
I'm gonna go into a
Hard
couple.
left.
I'm gonna go into a couple.
Hard left.
Let's talk about So minarchism is the belief in a minimal government, but you pretty much kept things like, police, fire, the courts, and the military.
Okay.
Now, of course, you believe the military's at bay and armed neutrality. You believe that police, they're obviously, you shouldn't be just killing unarmed people here. And you
Well,
believe
that's no fun.
and you believe that people should only be in trouble for crimes that have a victim.
So you're
Right.
okay with decriminalization of drug offenses?
100%.
Thank you.
100%.
Oh.
I voted. I voted for Prop
I
64.
don't have a problem with that.
All right.
I voted for Prop 64. I unmarked it and then voted again on it.
I wasn't sure.
I literally voted for it. I clicked off of it and I voted for it again just so I could vote for it twice. That's how much I was for it.
You dabble in the cannabis, if you will.
I have dabbled in my life.
I think we all have, actually.
Right.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, I'm. So when it comes to a police force, right, I believe people should be going to prison for crimes that they actually there's a victim,
Yes.
a rape, a murder,
Yes.
or for example, and this is a very libertarian thing. We believe in the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, right to property. So fraud, for example, because there's a victim in that. You're taking you're infringing on someone's life and
Right,
property.
right.
So
Livelihood
things like
is in danger.
actual crimes of the victim, and then things like fraud. So the police aren't just arresting people because they found a dime bag on you.
I like that because Oregon is now like the first state to really try to implement the decriminalization of
Right.
of drug offenders that aren't actually
Right.
victimizing.
Right. Now
anyone else,
that leaves us to see if it actually succeeds. If this plan.
I mean, we'll see.
I,
but
I,
I'm glad
I hope
that
it
someone's
does.
Trying
Right. At least
it.
I would like to see that it actually does work because then we can actually free up some of the prisons, which is another topic for another show.
Well,
But
just to segue off, prohibition creates black markets.
Yep.
Okay, so when you're saying like, okay, well, cocaine, heroin, whatever, this is all illegal. All you've done is you've now created a demand in the supply and demand.
Yep.
Again, in a sense, a government, and now coming from a lot of times a conservative legislator has infringed on a private thing.
Yep.
And now you have the government making a demand of drugs because they've made it illegal. Well, look what happened when we did prohibition with alcohol.
There were speakeasies
moonshine,
everywhere.
Right?
Moonshines.
Speakeasies, moonshine. You made a cartel. You made
Yeah.
a black
Yeah,
market.
you've made
so what
the
you've done
mob
is you've
spiked.
So when Jeff Sessions is over there talking about how, oh my God, like there's so many crimes come from marijuana. Yeah, no shit, you made it illegal. Now, why do you think it came from it, you dumbass? And this topic gets me so heated because there are these people going, oh well, this is so illegal. It's not the government's job to make anyone a better person.
Nope.
At all.
It's nowhere in the Constitution.
That I agree.
Yeah,
with.
so
It's
when it
nowhere
comes
in the
that I
Constitution.
agree.
that
So
I
yeah,
see.
so again, as a minarchist, I believe there should be police, but getting people for things that are worth arresting people for. You believe in courts because there are times where someone is going to obviously do something illegal. You need a court system,
Right.
and then obviously we got fires. Let's have a fire department.
Yeah, we don't want shit burning down.
We have fires. so clearly.
what I would say is to pinpoint my own ideology, I get off the train right before anarcho-capitalism. And anarcho-capitalism, what it is the obsolete state. You don't believe in a government anymore, and more or less you believe that corporations or private entities should kind of run everything. Which, in a sense, I mean, yeah, if there was no such thing as greed.
I feel like they oddly already
sure, I
do control, though.
Well, not without the government involved as well. What it means is there's literally no federal government. They believe in the absolute, there's no federal government, and it's just facets of your life are kind of, if there's any kind of controlling entity, it's a private entity.
So it's more so what's happening now, just they're not hiding anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
it's
it-
come
no,
on. This country is run corporately. Like,
well, yeah, but I mean, there would be no such thing as the corporations in bed with the government because there would be no government.
yeah, there's no more bed either.
Right. So I mean, yeah. So it would just be straight up corporations. On the other side of the spectrum, like the groups like Antifa, those guys that,
Uh-huh.
Don't even get me started.
yeah, that they.
Ooh,
right.
no,
Don't
no.
even
No,
get me
I
started.
want to see Jim get
No,
started.
let me get into this though. What that's called is anarcho-communism, and they believe again the anarcho part. It stems from the obsolescence of the current state.
Uh-huh.
No federal government, but what they believe is that they should have things like workers' unions and co-ops run everything.
Interesting.
And I've always said the layman's term is the difference between the anarcho-communist and the anarcho-capitalist is the anarcho-communist has no job, the anarcho-capitalist is employed. But
True.
again, so I get off the train before
usually true.
anarcho-capitalism because I believe there's a lot of flaws in that. I mean, there's such thing as called greed. I mean, let's be honest here.
Here's the thing, and this is gonna sound awful, but I actually I'm a defender of communism to a degree because in theory communism works.
Yeah, on paper, it works.
In theory it works,
But in
you're
practice,
right.
it
In practice,
can't.
with the with greed and
Oh
the
yeah.
human nature.
You look at
like,
other countries that have had it. When has it ever succeeded? You know what I mean? You know,
Never.
it's
The
never
problem with communism is that it's mandated volunteerism.
Right.
And that's just that. I mean,
That's just not how we roll.
and it still
it
creates-
should be,
and
but
it's
it's
not.
not.
It's
I
not how
hate
it's
it.
not.
it still
human beings
creates
work.
it still creates an elitist class. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Which is just the leaders
And Antifa.
the government leaders. Well,
Wow,
Antifa's
you
just-
really hate Antifa.
Antifa's just stupid. Antifa's just they just have no. I mean, they're
Morals,
just, they're gone.
principles.
They're just off the map.
They're a
Anyways,
freaking
so,
domestic terrorist group. As far
back
as I'm
to-
concerned.
Wow.
Back to the
That's bold.
libertarianism.
Yeah.
So anarcho-capitalism is that, and then of course, like I just said, there's objectivism, which is the Ayn Rand thing, the rugged
Right.
individualism. There's conservatarian, which at times, I swear to God, James has done this.
Yep.
At times, James has been a conservatarian, which is much like a Rand polish, not necessarily a
Yeah.
Ron.
I
Ron's a
tend to be
libertarian.
more Rand Paul.
Or Rand polish. You know, it's like, yeah, you believe in a lot of conservative things, but hey, you know what? Blanket banning gay marriage. You can't tell people how to live their life.
True story.
You can't legislate morality.
Nope. Try it. Doesn't work.
Yeah, and the drug war is stupid. The
Yep.
drug war has created problems.
Oh, that just.
Created
And
more
we
drugs.
can't be nation building. That's a very conservatarian thing. Like you probably believe in like a strong stance on immigration, but besides that, like you're pretty much libertarian.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different ideologies.
This has been Civics 101 with
I told you when he said he wanted to come on. I told him, I said, dude, I know you're gonna get deep. I know you're gonna get heavy into it. Our audience does not expect Civics 101.
No, but I think he was fairly, I think he simplified it fairly well.
Yeah, that's
though.
true.
I think
I
it was,
followed
it was
along.
good. So if you followed along, then good. If you didn't, then, go back and listen, because I might have to go back and listen a few more times. Well, okay, but Jim, you had written something down that I'm interested in that kind of perked my ears up a little bit. I want to hear a little bit about
Yeah,
it.
right. I wrote it down in regards to the headliner.
Uh-huh.
And specifically, it was allowing for fairer, what I called, I don't know if it's a real thing, but what I called state-controlled premiums.
That intrigued me so much.
And I wanted to know, or just kind of throw out there for our listeners, instead of government-controlled premiums, what if it's a state-to-state basis? What if it's premiums that are regulated by the state legislature?
It makes more sense to do that, though, because there's not a national minimum wage. Every
Right.
minimum wage for each state
Varies from state to
varies
state.
from state
Exactly.
to state. So it makes more sense that there should be a state-run premium and not a federal-run premium.
My opinion, that would fix. I'm gonna say that would fix everything, but that would make it a lot easier.
Yeah,
It would just make it easier. It would make it easier on the consumer.
Yeah, that
State,
intrigued me
if
a
you
little.
regulate at the state level,
But now you run into the issue of, can the states handle that?
better than the government, as we've seen. Thanks, feds. So again, it's something for our listeners to kind of ponder. And again, if you guys out there want to put your 2 cents on our comment feed,
Yeah,
maybe
please do.
and
That intrigues
maybe
me a
give us
lot.
your 2 cents on what you think that would entail. Go for it. But I think
Yeah.
it would be an interesting prospect to look at.
Yeah, I do too. Maybe we could touch more on it later on. Or
Definitely.
something. I think we can all agree that universal health care is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Universal access to healthcare.
That's much more accurate.
yeah.
Universal
And
access.
here we go.
That's more accurate. Universal access to
Yeah,
healthcare.
I don't
Alright.
believe in the government guaranteeing anything for everyone, but I believe basically the government should be out of it so much to where is that there's no problem in people being able to.
This is such a hard thing for me, though, because I'm not going to say the government shouldn't help. I'm saying that if the government wants to help, that they should help. I'm all for that.
But I don't think we should be mandated to help the government help us.
My brain just, exploded a little bit.
What I'm saying is, I don't believe that.
See, now I'm the stupid one.
Well, no, I don't believe that the government should regulate and tell us how much we're to put into the system to help them provide health care. Kind of like what Eric was saying, I think we should have universal access, but I don't think we should be penalized for not being able to access
Okay,
it.
but if we have universal access, the access should not be so inaccessible.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but now we're going into circular logic.
Well,
What else
the
are
best,
we going to do?
the best way I think to clear it up is you have to define what access is. Honestly, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, if the
probably
government's
are.
out of it completely, we as individuals have the access. It's a peer-to-peer market.
Right, that's as it should.
There shouldn't. So I mean, when someone says, "Oh, everyone should have healthcare," no shit. Everyone should be able to get healthcare easily without a government red tape. So for me, if someone's like, "Hey, what do you think about repealing Obamacare?" I'm like, "Yeah, repeal it. Don't replace it. Don't put the government back into it.
Yeah.
You repeal. I would clean repeal that, everything gone, and then take the government out and let that thing be free market."
Yep, I would pretty much agree. But I would say that what we can agree on goes back to what you were saying, Peyton. What we can agree on, because I have to get moving on. What we can agree on is that there should be some sort of overall blanketing universal health care available for the consumer.
Awkward silence.
Awkward. Should have some elevator music.
I don't know. There's still, again, because this is such a weird gray area. I mean, this is a matter of life and death. This is a matter of whether or not you get to see your kid's next birthday kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, let me play devil's advocate here. How many decades did this country go without universal health care?
Kind of goes back to what Eric said. Like, insurance companies weren't as running rampant.
Right. At one time,
this
one
shit.
time they didn't even exist.
They didn't
Well,
even
yeah, no,
exist.
I know
They
that.
weren't running as
Healthcare
rampant.
insurance wasn't even a thing. It was like you paid for your doctor.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just like
You needed to go to the doctor, you paid the doctor.
Right.
Exactly.
But I'm saying at one time there was no such thing as the Affordable Care Act. At one time there
Right.
was nothing.
Well, when it goes back to, like, sometimes right now it just seems like the liberal logic, the Democratic Party's logic at this point. It's like, how dare you take away health care we made everyone pay for?
Exactly.
You know?
And that's my point.
It's like, we mandated everyone pay for
yeah,
it.
you
How
guys are the
dare
ones
you
that
take that away
mandated
from
it.
them? No shit, everyone has health care right now. You find them if they do.
Right? You forced it on us and then told us you'd charge us if we didn't take it, you dumb fucks.
I will agree with that. As someone who still supports the ACA, there's a lot of fucked up shit
You think?
in the ACA.
It's called the ACA.
Wow. I'm gonna need a third beer after this one.
I love you,
No,
Payne.
but like it's because again, this is dealing with life and death, and I feel like something like that. Yes, it should be more accessible. Yes, you should not. I can't even get my thoughts together on this completely.
Since we
But-
talk about, we talk about how this is an issue of life and death, right? This is people's livelihood.
Yeah.
Correct. We heard the story about Charlie Gard, right? The infant that died in England.
Yeah.
You guys hear this? Okay.
I heard it.
They wanted to get him to the United States at one point for easier health care. UK has single payer.
Yep.
So why would they want them to come to the United? Why would his parents be pulling him
Do
out?
they
to come
really?
in?
Yeah, they do.
They do. They have
do.
single health.
They've had it for a long time.
They have universal. They have socialized medicine. You get what you pay for in the sense that it's like you're not paying for anything. I mean, a lot of times they're like, okay, you can't take him home. They didn't let him go home and die in peace, because at one point they realized that the disease he had, he wasn't going to survive.
So they essentially pulled the
couldn't
plug.
take him home and let the infant die with his family. He died in hospice. A lot of this had to do with the type of health care they had. They have socialized medicine. They were going to take him out of the hospital, and no, they weren't going to withdraw him. They couldn't take him to the United States to get some kind of health care that they could pay for that would be better. I mean, you're looking at you're getting what you pay for with
Exactly.
socialized medicine.
So it sounds to me like healthcare, no matter where you go, is just a complete clusterfuck.
Well, no one's going to be happy, you know. what I
Right,
mean?
that's the problem.
There's always
That's
going to
the
be someone who's pissed off.
Well, kind of like what we were talking about with communism, where it's great in theory, but in practice it just tanks.
Yeah.
It's a great theory for having healthcare universally, but when actually put into practice, because of just the nature of human beings, it doesn't work, because everybody's going to have, like Eric says, everybody's going to
everyone's going to have their issues.
have issues. They have a
Everyone's going to go, man, this sucks.
This sucks.
Yeah.
They have a complaint about something.
You know.
And it's never
I
going to
mean,
be
come on,
perfect.
aren't we, as humans, we tend to just complain.
It's our international pastime.
Yeah,
we complain.
In this
We
world,
find
just
something to complain about. The sky's blue today.
We have a lot of pastimes going on now. We got
We've-
baseball, we got
baseball,
Muslims,
Muslims.
now we got
Yeah,
bitching.
man, we've had a lot of it.
Put them all together and you got a
Bitching, you know, yeah.
bitch ball, baseball.
Can't even think of like an
Bitching,
actual
baseball,
thing to
playing
call it.
Muslim haters. That's
Yeah, yeah. So,
don't
no, Muslim haters. I mean, it sucks to say, but every time they've tried socialized medicine, every time socialism has inevitably led to communism, it never worked.
It fails.
No nation on this earth has tried true capitalism. The United States hasn't either. So we've tried an ideology over and over and watched it fail. What has been stopping people, except for the loss of power, from trying capitalism? Because it's really, when you think about it, the government does not want to lose their power.
Of course not.
Capitalism advocates that the government will lose their power and it will go back to
Why
the
do you
people.
think there's 30, 40, 50 plus year senators sitting in the seats?
No term limits,
No
right?
term limits.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
we
we
talked
touched
about
on that.
way
Yeah,
back
they
when.
sit-
Way
they
back,
sit in it
yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. How long has Feinstein been our senator?
Oh God!
How old
Dude,
is she?
I was what 8 years old, and I remember in class learning
I mean,
at
right,
Feinstein.
Boxer finally retired,
Yeah,
right?
Boxer finally left. Feinstein's still hanging around. Our grandkids are gonna, be born, and she's still kicking
Before
it.
Harris took over, Sanchez was in there forever.
Yeah. So my point is,
Lisa from my home state, Alaska. Lisa Murkowski is still there.
Right.
And she was there back when I was like in grade school.
well, there
and
you go.
stuff, so.
That's my point. Like you say,
Loss
nobody
of
wants to
power.
lose power.
Nobody
wants to
true
lose it,
capitalism because they lose their power.
and that's the problem.
I've also decided on a new baseball team.
What's that?
The Tallahassee Muslim haters.
Great, the ACLU is going to pitch a fit about that one. They're not going to like your logo.
Don't worry, they bitch about everything.
That
too,
they
is what
do.
I've heard.
Yeah.
They do. Well, some of it makes sense. Some of it, I'm just like, you're just trying to remind everybody that you still exist.
Yep.
Preserve the national pastimes and the American dream, but also don't be a selfish prick about it. Like, just step up, do the right thing.
Look out for your fellow man.
Yeah, just
Look out for your fellow man. That's all we ask.
Like, if you have plenty and you see like your neighbor standing next to you, that's kind of like struggling a little bit.
For God's sake, give him something.
Give him something.
It's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I always say, if I ever am blessed to be granted, the wealth to do that, I will gladly give somebody in need what they need.
Yeah.
Gladly. Here's what I'm going to have to say, because I do have to put in the last word. And
There's still so much to talk about.
I know, but we were already at an hour 16, and I'm sure we had lost half our listeners already. Sorry, guys. So the topic of this last word is government of the people, and it kind of calcifies around this whole topic, and it's this. History has shown that government lacks the ability to do more than maintain the status quo. Individual citizens are the key to our success. Optimism is what fuels our dreams, and it builds our nations. Now, at the risk of sounding poetic, each of us, when granted our freedom to do so, is capable of aspiring to and achieving great things. Now, when a government remembers this, its people are what makes it strong, its opportunities are limitless. Now, this nation here was founded on the beautiful principle that all men are created equal and of right ought to be free. When not burdened with the shackles of regulation, there is no end to the greatness that any American can achieve. Granted, government stays out of their way. Now, we must never lose sight of that perfect union of the people, by the people, and for the people. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my last word. So, America, again, we thank you for joining us. We hope it's been enlightening, educational, and more importantly, we hope it's been fun. We thank you. We thank Eric for coming in and being our guest host.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you'll hear from him again.
He'll be back. So, America, stay cool out there. Leave the crazy to us.
Mazel tov.
Later.